Hey guys, it's Chris from Smithy Finance. It's April 6th today, Sunday, and this is my part 5 of my Secrets of the Stock Market. Veteran Pro reveals all. That would be me. That's all of my knowledge, that is. Not all of the knowledge of the stock market, which is far greater than any one person, of course. I've got over 85,000 hours in the game, made millions, lost millions, kept millions. And what I will highlight right now is that it is a game of psychology, trading the markets, and it is not for the weak and feeble. That is for sure, as we know from what's happened in this last week. So this is part 5, and it is titled How I Trade a Crash. And it's intentionally not titled How to Trade a Crash. It's How I Trade a Crash. And it might not be and probably isn't right for you. Okay, but I'm just going to tell you what I've done. I've been through many crashes in my life. The first one was the 87 crash, and then there's the tech wreck, and there's COVID, of course, and the worst one is the 08-09 financial crisis. But there's lots of minor ones in between. Last August 3rd or 4th or 5th, we had a one-day crash, if you want to call it that, but a big drawdown, and you probably forget about it, right? Because these things come and go, but they never feel good inside. And so I'm just going to go over what I'm doing. I could easily be 100% wrong on this particular crash, but I have been correct on the other crashes, although not always correct on the same timeline. In other words, sometimes I'm buying way too soon and there's more pain to be had. So, first of all, who are you? Optimist versus pessimist. Now, I'm an optimist. It's just who I am. It's in my body. It's how I see the world. And the world generally has improved over time and is generally a good place full of good people. But of course, there are bad periods, there are bad people, there are bad times, and bad things happen. But overall, civilization has been up and to the right over time, and I'm convinced that's going to continue, and I think that we are setting up for better times ahead. But when? So I'm an optimist. I do want to buy stocks when they're weak. There are pessimists, you'll see them on X right now, who think finally the market is going to drop another 80% and we're going to have a reset and it's going to be horrible, but then finally it'll be beautiful. I'm not of that mindset. Okay, so let's ask, do they really want to crash the markets? They being the government. This current crash that we're in is all created because of these trade tariffs. We were down, 23% in the last 3 weeks. The NASDAQ. The VIX, which is the volatility index, is at 45 right now, which is very high. The put-call ratio is 1.6. These are numbers that are associated with bottoms, market bottoms, the pessimism being so high right now. Of course, it can get worse. So this is what Adam Johnson says of Bullseye Brief, who's a guy I like, but he's also optimistic. And like I said, there's lots of pessimists out there who think things are going to get worse. So do they really want to crash the markets? Does Trump and his cohort, do they really want to crash the markets? No, they don't. But they are willing to take some short-term pain, which means that we could certainly go lower before we go higher. Or tonight, Sunday night, Trump comes out and says we've got a couple of trade deals made and we're negotiating with others, and we're making progress, although we're still going to be tough and we want what we want. We're going to see, I think, that sort of statement, but is it tonight or is it in another week when things get even much worse? I know Jim Cramer is calling for perhaps a big crash tomorrow on Monday. He's likening it to 87. I was there in 87, and I really doubt we're going to have a 22% pullback in one day. We'll see. So my job is to buy the crash. As a trader, Your job is to be on the other side of the masses. I've talked about this lots of times, but I lost a lot of money last week. And, I'm sure everybody did, or pretty much everybody did. But my job is to buy the crash, and when everything feels hopeless, and he's stubborn, he's crazy, he's crashing the markets, he's turning the world upside down. When there's blood in the streets, when it's really painful, and this feels like there's no chance of recovery, that's when we want to buy it. And if it ain't now, when is it? It's soon. That's when. So when is the bottom? Is it now, or who knows? But I can tell you that if you're waiting for the perfect buy point, well, I'll buy it when it drops another 20%. You'll almost never buy it because it will almost never go to that depth. So the perfect buy point, it almost never reaches it. So the way I play it, I buy some now. I was buying on Friday. I did not buy on Thursday, as you can see from my daily updates. But I did do some buying on Friday. I also sold some Bitcoin. I did mention that. I love Bitcoin, but it was up when everything else was down huge. So the prudent thing to do was to take a little off the table, in my opinion. And I did do some buying, but I have a lot of buying power if to buy things if the crash intensifies. So when bottom, who knows? You got to buy a little and then buy some more, or put in a bid below. And I will also, if we do bottom and then it starts to rally, I will chase it a little bit. Just because if I don't have a full position, if I don't feel I'm long enough, and it feels like, maybe we're finally getting a turn. Because we're going to have some big up days. I mean, we have been crushed. So there will be some 1,000-point up days ahead. And but we could have 1,000-point down days still to come before we get that. Who knows? Trade deals. I'm hearing Vietnam and Cambodia and India, they're all negotiating right now, and we may come out with something tomorrow, tonight, next week. Who knows? Buy quality. So look, it's really important that you buy the stocks that have got earnings, that have got momentum, that products are going to be needed no matter what happens. Everything gets hit, and there is going to be a rally in everything. We're sort of on a correlation of 1 right now. When the markets crash, everything crashes, and when the market recovers, everything recovers, but the first thing that recovers is the strongest stocks, those with the best earnings. So Adam Johnson, he looks at super microcomputer, NVIDIA, and even Delta Airlines, and those stocks have been killed. For me, I'm in Canada. I like the raw materials companies, so I like Ivanhoe, which I've talked about, and that's been hammered. It's been cut in half in the last 6 months or thereabouts. I really like that, and I like some of the oils. Oil has been just slammed. And as I mentioned, Baytex, which is down, 22% on Friday, crazy numbers. And again, as a trader, it's our job to buy these, but holy cow, they can go lower, and I am definitely not recommending you do what I do. I'm just telling you what I do, and it is up to you to make the decision. So buy quality, buy stocks that you like, that you already own, that have earnings, that have some predictability. And if things get a lot worse, I will, start buying Brookfield Asset Management, TD Bank. I will buy the strongest of the companies. Right now, I'm not quite there. I'm buying the higher risk companies because I do think there's going to be some recovery. But the ones I am buying, they do have earnings. They certainly don't have to do a financing or anything of that sort. They don't have a big debt problem. If oil stays at 60 or below, all oil companies will have a debt problem eventually, but right now they're still cash flow positive, even at 60. So look, that's about it. This is a little bit rushed. It's not as clean and pretty as I'd like to put out videos, but it's timely. So be careful. Be careful out there. Do not use a lot of leverage. Buy quality, scale, but as a trader, it is our job to buy the crash. And the problem with the 08-09 was that there was about 7 or 8 crashes, and I bought each of them, and I got really hurt. But all the other crashes really hit a crescendo pretty fast, whether it was the COVID crash, whether it was, 1987 was literally one day. So the crashes tend to be short and acute, and then we get some kind of V recovery, and then it chops, and then away we go back to the old trend. But it's not easy, and just, I would say make your own decisions. Don't sell in a panic. You can double check your company's fundamentals, get comfortable with it, hang on. But if you are a trader and if you've positioned your portfolio that you have some buying power, it is time to do some buying. All right, that's all I've got, guys. Be careful out there, and I'll see you in the next one.